Welcome to Peak Mind. I'm your host, Michael Trainer. And today I want to talk about something that's been alive for me deeply this week that I think could be of service to some of you listening, which is how to trust your intuition as your divine inner GPS and how to really sit in the power that lives within you. Lately, I have been in sort of an existential quandary because I have this shiny object, this really beautiful opportunity to travel. It speaks to a lot of the things that seem aligned to my peak interests. And yet, at the same time, it involves elements that are out of alignment with who I am and who I want to be surrounded by energetically. The notion I'm exploring these days is around energetic hygiene, and I'll probably do a full episode on this. But as an empath and a highly sensitive person, one of the things that I've realized is that certain experiences are either generative or they are costly. And sometimes even the shiny objects are expensive, right? We can get swayed, if you will, by the sirens. What do I mean by sirens? Well, if you've read the Odyssey, there's this chapter where they discuss the beautiful sirens swaying wayward sailors to the shores of this island. And it turns out they're sort of shallow ghosts, and they're led to their own ruin on these rocky shores. And I think for many of us in life, there are sirens all around us, right? And these sirens I would define as really seductive distractions. Things that seem beautiful, seem compelling, that speak to aspects of ourselves that we are really looking to step into, or things that align to our charm, things that seem very seductive and appealing. But on measure, and when really considered, they actually could be ruinous, or they could be quite costly. It came to me, the other day that not everything that is free is not without cost, right? Not everything that there's sort of this buffet mentality, I think, sometimes, right? Where it's like, if you think, oh, well, this is all I can eat, I'm just going to go after it, and this seems amazing because there's all this delicious food. But then you suffer the indigestion afterwards. Or I don't drink anymore, but when I used to drink, there was the open bar mentality of like, oh, wow, okay, I'm in this sexy place and the bar is open, let me just go after it. And then, of course, you suffer the consequences of the hangover. Those are kind of two, subtle examples of when things seem seductive, they seem exciting, they are, seemingly beneficial. It seems like you're in the right place, your abundance, quote unquote, is around you, and yet there is a cost that you pay. And I think in life we are presented with opportunities, and the simple truth is, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. But another way to put that, and I love this, is I was listening to Tim Ferriss the other day talk about Tribe of Mentors, one of his books that I love. And he talks about this notion of saying no to the sevens, right? And what does that mean? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, we know that the 10 is the hell yes. We're always in on that. It feels aligned both in terms of how it looks, and it's a 10 also in terms of how it feels, right? And I think that's the key barometer. How does it feel, like really in your gut? And a 1 is just a hell no. So those are easy. The challenge is, how do you deal with the sevens, right? How do you deal with the things that on the surface seem super appealing? Maybe it's a paid opportunity or a free opportunity that has substantial value. Maybe it's maybe it's something that speaks to a lot of the things that are boxes in your list of desires, but it doesn't fully meet your hell yes criteria, right? It doesn't fully speak to your soul. There's perhaps some elements that they're out of alignment. And the temptation is to say yes anyway, right? Be like, oh, well, you know what? I can navigate around the sort of picadillos, the parts that aren't really truly in alignment. I'll just go for it because on measure, it's a great opportunity. But the challenge is oftentimes when we say yes to those seemingly good opportunities, we wind up with the cost of not trusting our gut, and oftentimes the downstream deleterious consequences or circumstances that arise from thinking we can navigate around those picadillos, but those picadillos kind of getting stuck on us, right? I think about kind of like a hiking trail. And oftentimes, poison ivy looks like this beautiful plant, poison oak. They're shiny, 3 leaves, they're beautiful. And without knowing what it is, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'm walking in nature. This is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And then you accidentally touch the poison oak or the poison ivy, and you're suffering the consequences for days after, right? And so I think that when we are navigating opportunities, when we are moving through this life and discerning, and I think that's the key word, discerning what is a hell yes for us. It's easy to know what's a hell no, and it often is pretty easy to know what's a hell yes. But the challenge is in discerning what seems like a yes, but is actually a no. And I think that when we get on the other side of not being seduced by the sirens, in other words, when we say no to the sevens, then way more tens, way more hell yeses present themselves, because the universe is always listening, right? And we are in a divine relationship. We are in a divine dance with the cosmos seeking to awaken to itself through us, this great Gaian intelligence. And there are always tests on the path in that hero's journey, that Joseph Campbell hero's journey. And when we are confronted with a test, it will often be seductive. It will often be, in Buddhism, there's this notion of Maya, this kind of seductress. There will often be the seduction. But when we sit in the seat of our power and our own divine intuitive knowing and discern that 7 is not for us, then on the other side of that illusion of thinking something is a good opportunity, we are presented with great opportunities. Opportunities that are in alignment with our highest and best self. And I don't know about you guys, but of late, I've been presented with more and more seductive sevens. Opportunities that have elements that are totally in alignment with my highest and truest desires, my true north, but with elements that are also out of alignment. They don't feel quite right. They don't feel like they're quite meant for me. And what I've realized is when I say yes to those, there's often a downstream consequence that takes me off the path that I was on. It's like I diverged and I now need to backtrack to get back to the path I was on. It's a detour. And sometimes those detours aren't necessarily bad. There can be some profound lessons in them. But I think if we're looking to really and truly trust ourselves and really and truly come into right relationship with our own inner GPS, which is always taking information and digesting those external opportunities based on all of the work that we've done in our internal self-work, then as we pass these tests, as we say no to the sevens, I think we are presented with way more hell yes opportunities. And we're presented with new shores to sail to. We're presented with new communities, new people, new contexts that are in alignment to our highest excitements. And so if you are in your life confronting 7 opportunities, and I think the more you walk your path, the more you'll be presented with them. I just want you to take stock and really listen to yourself and trust unequivocally in the divine knowing that is you and your intuition. And of course, sometimes the headiness or the Instagram sexiness of certain opportunities can present themselves as sirens. Certain things can feel seductive, can feel compelling. But trust that is a mirage. That is a projection that doesn't encompass the total reality of that experience for you. And know that when you trust your divine knowing, when you trust your internal GPS, you will get closer and closer to the shores of new soil, new land, new opportunity that is meant for you, that is in alignment with your path, your journey, and your highest excitement. So I'm sending you guys so much love. I just wanted to come on to share some of my process lately and encourage you in testing the opportunities that are presented to you. Really and truly listen to that inner knowing and make firm and decisive decisions based on that knowing. Even if sometimes it feels like you're missing, quote unquote, an opportunity, know that on the other side, there is profound possibility.